Most businesses give out swag. We use it to tell a story without saying a word. So I've talked a lot on this channel about the importance of making sure that you show, don't just tell your marketing message. So I thought I would show you a few of the ways that we actually did that for our Seek theme for the Grow Retreat this past January. And for the inside track, we do have the Reflect for Seek coming up still. So you can still check that out at the Grow Disrupt website if you do want to. Just check it out here. And I do want to reinforce, as I'm like getting in here and starting to pull some things out for you, like a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily about stuff. It is about creating a whole experience and finding some things that people are going to hold on to and want to hold on to long term. So one of the first things that people will see when they get into the bag is we always have a bag of snacks included. And when we build out our bag of snacks, we are looking for several things. One, trying to make sure that there are any dietary restrictions, that those are taken care of. But two, we are also making sure that it is high protein and low sugar. We try to make sure that across 2 days, they are getting at least 100 grams of protein in their bag, but they are also getting less than 25 to 30 grams of sugar in the entire bag for 2 days of snacks. And we do this in large part because most of our guests are ADHD, which means they do need more protein and less sugar because sugar is just going to send them into a dopamine spiral. And we do a lot of stuff to help keep their dopamine trickling positively throughout the entire event so that they are not so exhausted. We also make sure that their snack bags are like put into a bag. One, so that they're not having to rummage through the bag and miss out on anything. But two, to make sure that like they know that this is here to take care of them. We want to make sure that they are not reaching a point where their bodies are forgetting to eat or forgetting to drink and ending up drained. So maybe it's not actually swag, but it goes in the swag bag, so it kind of counts. Of course, there's always the folder. The folder inside is going to have like handouts. It's going to have your agenda, day 1 and day 2. And then it's going to have like workbooks and stuff for the workshops that come up. This year, we also got to have a copy of Blind Blaming. This is one of our speakers' books. And one of the things that I love that we've gotten to do a few times now is when we work with a speaker, a lot of times they will actually create a custom version of the book. So we actually have like, this was built for Seek exactly. And it's got the Seek logo. And then it also put the logo on the back. He also wrote a special message just to our Seek participants. And not only does the content and the topic reinforce this idea of like seeking the root of the problem, but it also, this idea of making it feel special to them reinforces our message that they are special. We also have a custom journal that we could put together of them. And then we actually test out our pens like rigorously before we end up purchasing pens, because I want a pen that's going to write super smoothly. I don't want people having to fight for their, like, to make the pen write or move. I want them to be able to feel like just be able to write and just focus on what they are like listening to. So we test our pens rigorously. And this was our pen this year, which was our first time we've tried a new pen in a little while, and people like absolutely adored it. It's a gel pen, but it, like, all of my lefties were blown away because it's a gel pen that doesn't smear. And one of the reasons that we did this and that we switched from the pens that we've had for years and years and years is because we do have quite a few lefties in the audience, and they have expressed to me that it's a little frustrating to have these pens that do smear all the time. And so having something that like subconsciously says to those people, hey, you matter to me, and like I think of the small things, that's part of our branding. And then inside of our journal, this is we get a custom crafted journal put together for each of our events. And this one, not only do we make sure that you have like a variety of different kinds of pages to be able to flip through. So we have lined pages, we have mind maps, we have grids, we also have just plain blank pages. Every so often we have these aha moments and action steps. And we started the event with letting people know that one of the best ways to use this is as you write stuff into your action steps, dog ear the page so that it's easy to find that later, so you're not having to go through all of your notes down the road. And then at the back of the journal, we actually built in 6 weeks of this like check-in, basically, with the idea being that you can check in and keep this around for 6 weeks while you are getting your goals and getting everything you've learned underway over time. It doesn't all have to be implemented instantly. But even more than that, we actually included these really great little to-do lists at the very back. And there were 3 versions of the lists: to do now, to do next, and to do later. To do now are the things that need to be knocked out immediately. To do next are the things that need to be taken care of like next. And then to do later are the things that need to be taken care of, you know, whenever we happen to get around to it. But we've been putting together custom notebooks for our guests for quite a while. Not only do we test out sizing and like making sure that it feels really comfortable in the hands, but what needs to go into the pages. We give them stuff to color in because we want them to have stuff that engages both sides of their brains, that keeps them a little bit like engaged just as they're going through the journal itself. We also gave them these really cute little like lantern things so that they can seek their way. I'm sure I just completely overexposed the camera, and my videographer and editor are probably going to give me a hard time. But the idea here being that like when you are actively seeking, you can light the path forward, and it's really not hard to make it happen. Because it was way too cute not to, we also got these Seek Clarity, See Possibility. And these are just like, phone or glasses cleaners. But they're really nice ones. And of course, fully branded with a reminder that when you are constantly like seeking and coming to our event, we are actually like clearing the glass so you can see further and make things go further. And it's just a really fantastic little one. It's an ADHD event, so, we had to have a fidget. Which I will say, like these fidgets, everyone lost their minds over. We got them because they are kind of like a compass, right? So it kind of reminds you to seek your direction constantly. But people were losing their minds over these fidgets. Like they absolutely adored them. And I will say like, they're really, really comfortable in the hand. They're really easy to flip multiple ways. And then they also have a little bit of a pain stem or a fidget engagement with the ridged side. Like these were an absolute massive hit. And then we of course put in a couple of things that are specific to Grow Disrupt, one of which is a pouch of our custom coffee. So we got this coffee created a couple of years ago specifically for our guests. And I worked with a local sommelier, not only does it have some cayenne pepper inside of it so that it can, like cayenne pepper, there's some studies that show that it helps with retention. But we also worked on the blend level to make sure that you get the flavor coming through, but it's not an overdose of caffeine, which can make it really hard for the ADHD brain to focus and sometimes can actually put them to sleep. And then we also include a small container of our custom scent. And one of the biggest reasons we got this custom scent created originally was just because we know that memory is tied to scent. So we knew that by getting a custom scent created that people would be having at the event, they would then be able to use this if we sent them home with it to remember what they needed to remember about implementation or whatever they learned. Like it would take them back to that space from the event if we could make the event special enough. So this was really big on that front. And then when I got it created, I also worked with the aromacologist on like what exactly, like what scents help spark focus and retention in the brain. And so this was built for that. But more importantly, what we realized very quickly is that the way we do our events drips dopamine all the way through the event. They're constantly getting surprises, engagement, getting things that make them feel good and think smarter, motivated. And so we actually turned this scent at the event into a trained trigger for their brain. So this scent becomes something where they smell it and it automatically puts them in a work on your business, be more motivated place. That's one of the biggest reasons that we send this home with them. Yes, they all love having their own scent, but a big part of it is the impact that it makes for them. One of the last things that we always do whenever we have an on-site event is we always do these refresh and reset packets. Inside of here, we custom create a whole variety of things to help them sleep better that night, make sure that they can get a good night's sleep, because we know that it is super important that when they show up the next day, they are feeling strong and engaged. Look, a lot of people like to talk about show, don't tell with their marketing, but not a lot of people actually do that. We work really hard to make sure that all of our marketing speaks, or all of our swag, all of our pieces actually speak to the ADHD brain, but they also speak to and reinforce our theme. And we do this exact same thing in every single email that we send, the follow-ups that we send, the games that we play on site. We make sure that everything we do shows, not just tells, that we understand how their brains process. And then of course we do goofy little things where we make our bag say, seek what matters and tote the rest, because it's the tote. Look, if your brand messaging is starting to feel a little bit flat, maybe it's time for you to start asking what you can design. And if you want to see some of these things show up for you, you should probably check out that Reflect, because some of these items are going out in that activation packet for the Reflect event in April. I'm curious, out of all of these, which one do you think kind of hit that Seek theme or the We Get Your ADHD Brain theme the most?